at your life and nothing will make sense. Your partnerships won't make sense. Your friends won't make sense. Nothing will make sense anymore. And rather than celebrating that and knowing that we've now arrived at grace, because then grace will carry us through, and grace will then birth the life that we are, right? So we need a little help. So we've come to the book called The Vortex, right? And The Vortex is a great way to help you out, to focus on what you want. But when we come to unity, what we really want, and what brought us here, is that we believe that when we look out into the world, that there's something else. There's something else that makes us happy or brings us joy, but we don't know what it is, right? But we remember that there was a time as kids when we were filled with unlimited joy, where we didn't really care what people thought. We allowed people to be themselves, and if in fact at a time they pushed us, we would cry, right? If they didn't share, we might get angry with them. But it lasted quickly, and then we moved on. Then we reached a time where we got pushed, or someone didn't share, and we carried it with us for years on end. The same story. I can't believe they didn't share with me. I can't believe they don't respect me. I can't believe all these things about them out there. And then sooner or later, the vortex comes along and reminds you that it wasn't out there in the first place, that it was in here, and it's what we were focusing on, right? It's really kind of what we wanted. Huh? I wanted them to do that? You wanted them to do that because you had a contract with each and every person in your life, whether you know it or not. And that contract is for them to help you realize that you're loved. And sometimes when we can't get it from the outside world, we decide that we're going to birth children. And we birth kids in order for them to teach us that we're loved. Because they point out all the things that we believe that we're not. Right? But that's not what you told me. Right? Child will come up to you and you're like, be nice to people. And then they see that you're not nice to people. And they go, but you're not being nice to them. And you're like, just be quiet. Go watch SpongeBob, or go watch whatever you do. You go do that in the sandbox, right? But that's not what you told me. You told me to be integral with my word. You said that my word mattered. And then you take me to unity, and it said that God created the world, and it was God's word. So God's word mattered, but then when I see you, it seems like it doesn't matter. It seems like you're telling me one thing and doing a whole other thing, right? So kids point out in their own way, a way for you to be integral, but instead we don't want to hear it. So we just control them. We just go, be like me. And then they pass on our stuff in their next relationship to somebody else. So sooner or later, one of your kids has just had enough. And they've decided that they're going to be the mother, or they're going to be the father, or they're just going to teach you. Right? Here's a good example. Early on, when my ex-wife and I decided that we were going to separate, Harper was in the back seat of my car, and I was taking her to school. And it was silence in the car. Out of the blue, she goes, I'm going to take care of Mom. I looked in my rearview mirror and I went, okay. And she went, yeah, I'm going to take care of her. I went, all right. So that night, she's in the bathtub, and my ex-wife said she got out of the bathtub and sat on the bathtub and leaned up against the bathtub like this. And she went, Mom, I'm going to take care of you. So at that moment, what she did was she ended all agreements that were passed down between the women in the family. She ended them all. She said they stop here. And you know what? We're going to heal all of them now. We're going to start healing them, right? So your kids begin to heal that which you don't want to look at, because they force you to look at all the stuff that you don't want to look at. Right? That's why kids are amazing. That's why we celebrate Mother's Day, because we're all mothering our own selves to birth what some call the Christ or the light or whatever you want to call it. But we are all coming in alignment with our mother nature, our innate mother-father nature, and they both have to come together in order for us to birth ourselves. So we celebrate Mother's Day. Why? Because if you look at your life and you begin to look at your moms, right? And I go, tell me about your moms. Some of you will spend 1 minute telling me about the good quality of your mom and spend a whole hour telling me about all the nonsense. Right? Not bad, not good. There's nothing good or bad about that. So what do? Well, then we begin to look at masters or ascended masters or people that we're attracted to, right? And what we look at is Mother Mary. And we look at Mother Mary or Isis or the Divine Mother or Mother Earth. Why? Because they represent unconditional love. So if in your work right now, you're in your process, and you're like, wow, this is really difficult to try to get to the light that I innately am, and you look at the vortex, and as you're looking at the vortex, it's showing you to focus on what you want. And when you focus on what you want, what shows up? People that are in alignment with what you want. If you start to focus in that God is one energy, that there is only one energy, and you look in your life and there's two, right? What shows up in your life? Two energies. Good, bad, evil, good people. There's a hero that comes and saves me. There's all sorts of stuff. But there isn't good or bad. You're all love. So what's the veil? What is the veil? What is the veil in your life? Holy cow. God speaking, right? Could be the battery going in my mic, so I might have to grab another mic. Now Donna's going to mother me. See, this is what mothers do. So take a time out. So when we begin to look at that, we're one energy, and we come to unity. We come to New Thought, we come to Buddhism or Zen or whatever it is that you begin to search out with the Course in Miracles, whatever that is. They're all telling you the same thing. Once you realize that there is one energy, one thing going on, all your other problems fall away. It's the same concept with the vortex. Once you realize what you want, where you're going, what you're doing, all the nonsense in your life, the stuff that doesn't make sense, the stuff and the people that you don't want in your life, go away. Why? Not because they want to. It's just that the energy out there right now doesn't make any sense. That's why Jesus said, bring all your problems to me. So you take all your stuff, right? And when you start to have a realization of your oneness in God, your oneness in life, your oneness with the Divine Mother, you realize that you were just following a script, a story that never made sense in the first place. It was never there. Right? Here's a good example, because some of you are like, 2 powers? What does that mean? I don't worship 2 powers. This is crazy talk. Right? It's okay to laugh. I know some of in church, we can't laugh, can't play, can't have fun. Gotta be serious, these are dogma. Right? So, when we begin to look at our lives, and we begin to look at things, and we go, what is the 2 powers? Here's a power. Let's see if you give this power lack. Do you give lack power in your life? Meaning, it could show up in your finances, so you might go, I don't have enough. That means that there's 2 powers in your life. And then we come here on Sunday and there's 1 power. So if God's quality is abundance and prosperity and joy, we believe that that means cash. But that doesn't mean cash. It means that your innate quality is worthiness. So if you believe in unworthiness, then you're dealing in 2 powers. You're dealing with your mind. Your mind's like, I'm not worthy, remember, blah, 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 blah. That's nonsense. So when you begin to focus on what you want, what shows up? What you want. But what are you? Who are you? You are God. Human means God, man. The word human means God, man. Most of us are so focused on our man part, the human part, that we forget that there's a God part. And when you bring them together, what do you have? Beingness. All beingness means is that there's an invisible force inside of you that is connected to your human side. Right? So you may be at work, you may try to tell me that you're unemployed, or lacking, or there's debt in the world, or there's not enoughness, and then I question that and ask you then, is there 2 powers in your life? Because when Mother Mary gave birth to Christ, what did she say? I love you, God. So if you believe in God, there should be peace in your life all the time. The moment that you don't believe in God, the moment that you don't believe in something invisible, or the presence, or the essence, call it whatever you will. I don't care, because this mic's going to erupt with anger. Right? We're going to go back to the old one. Move it here? Should I put it on like here? That's good. Can you guys hear me now? Can you hear the thunder of silence? Can you hear that? Is that good? How's it look? It's like he serves them that he's shown before. Right? So as we begin to look at our lives, we begin to understand the relationship of the Divine Mother in our life, because we're at a point of the Divine Mother now is coming forward. She's had enough. Look at Mother Earth. Mother Earth has had enough. I was at a talk down in Irvine, and this guy was like, in 5 years from now, we'll have 10 billion people on this planet. And I said, no, I don't think so. I think we're going to have 1 billion less. I don't think we're going to be going up in multitudes. We've had more deaths in this world than births. Right? Mother Nature, and that's not a bad thing. So I know some of you are like, oh, God, death. That's another thing I got to deal with, right? So you have to, because you will, and that's just the nature of a human experience, right? So my point being is that when you tap into your Divine Mother, when you tap into that divine essence, that quality is unconditional love, right? And when you begin to look at the image of your Divine Mother, as you put her in your mind's eye right now, you begin to picture what that Divine Mother looks like. You can almost take all your stuff, whatever the stuff is, and you can do this when you get home. You can do it while you're listening to me right now, as you have an image of the Divine Mother, Mother Mary, however you look at her, Isis, and you put her in front of you. Now, she'll never lift her veil. She'll never show you her face. But she will give you the image of who she is before you, right? Like the angel Gabriel before her. Holy Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. So I can say that to each and every one of you today, the Lord is with you, because you are the Lord as a human being. This is your clothes, your human body. It's a mask, right? But as you picture the Divine Mother in front of you, you can picture yourself hugging her and asking her what it is that you need. Right? You can picture yourself hugging her and feeling her dress and putting your head on her heart and asking her, what is it that you need? Who are you? And she'll tell you. She'll say, all you have to do is love God with all your heart, and your life problems will dissipate, because there's no problems in God. So when we look at the vortex is focusing on what you want. And I was telling Don, it reminds me of Peter Pan. Right? Peter Pan's fighting with Captain Hook, and he's having a great time. He's not angry with him. Captain Hook's trying to be angry and just evil. But Peter Pan doesn't care. He's poking him. Right? Because he understands that that's Captain Hook. Captain Hook's angry. I don't have to be angry. See, a lot of people look at you and they go, I don't like you because you're happy. Okay. I don't like you because you speak at churches. Okay. I don't like you for what you do. But that's not my responsibility on how you feel, because your anger is your anger. It's not mine. So if you get angry with me or frustrated or negative, or you go and you gossip about me or whatever, I'm using myself as an example, obviously, right? Nothing to do with me. That's not my responsibility. My responsibility is to just show up and be present with everybody. And to look at them and have a smirk on my face, because I know that each and every person is the divine presence of God. Is the divine grace of God itself. And at any time, whether you're a saint or sinner, good or bad, you can awaken. You can awaken. Because you're already light. It's just that you believe in the darkness so strongly that you can't see the light that you innately are. Right? And it's funny that Mother's Day happens after Easter, which is the resurrection of Jesus, right? Jesus in the light, however you want to look at it, right? So Jesus encompasses light. Then we have Mother's Day. Your mothers encompass light because at some point in their life, they decided to succumb to grace and give birth to you. At some point in your journey, when you weren't here, you're in the invisible realm, you went, that's who I want to go with. That's it. I will learn my lessons from this woman here and this man. Or these two women, or these two men. However it is that your life works, right? But whatever your journey is, there's a soul contract. And you know the soul contract is because you're fighting it right now. You're fighting it with your mom. You're fighting it with your dad. You're fighting it with your friends. But you don't see that it's just a story that you're telling yourself about the contract. It's like having a contract. We're going to have a contract, and the contract's going to be, I'm going to be as vicious as I can to you so that you can understand that you're powerful. And we go, what? Don't worry about it. You won't know it's me. I'll be be disguised as someone completely different. Okay, who? Don't worry about it. You'll know when it comes out. You'll know who I'm going to be. And I'm going to be so strong in my character of hate for you and anger and vengeance that you're going to forget who I am. Sound familiar? Some of you have those people in your life that they're playing such a strong character that they're like Oscar winners in your life. That you resent them so much, right? And then you go, well, I thought they're just playing a part. What are they giving me right now? They're giving you the lesson that you are so powerful and so immense, they want you to step into it. That's love. In an unconditional way, not a conditional way, right? And when we go back to Peter Pan and the Vortex, Peter Pan's playful. Tinkerbell is playful. Kids are playful. So play in your life. There's nothing to hide from. There's no evil out there. Once you recognize that God is in here, all you want to do in your life secretly without knowing it is to know the full kingdom of God within you. Right? Whether you acknowledge it to me or not, whether it's unconscious or conscious, whether you came here and you gave a story like, I was just driving around here and I saw this church. I thought I'd stop by and take a gift. Right? I don't know why I came here. A friend brought me here. Well, because you have a contract. Your contract is to open up. We are in the greatest place right now in 2011. We are opening up to the divine presence of the feminine spirit in each of us. And I guarantee you that some of you, when you've connected to your divine feminine presence, know how strong it is. What's the divine feminine presence? Creativity. So some of you have probably created in your lives, right? The divine feminine can only be found in silence. Pretty mysterious when you meditate. Quiet the mind. Quiet the carnal mind, right? The limiting mind. And when you get a birth, a new idea, a creative process, something emerges, right? Mother Mary quieted herself down when Gabriel said, we're bringing the Lord to you, right? That's how I was born, by the way. My parents never had sex. I know that Reverend Nicole had that talk last week. My parents never had sex. So if I ever have to picture that, dear God, hit me with lightning. So, you know. But that divine presence, right? The divine feminine is creativity. It's electric. It's on fire. It's alive. It's unconditional love. It sees you and it loves you because it loves itself so much. Like a mom loving its children. Right? It's powerful. And no matter how old your kids get, you still love them. No matter how old you get, do you still love yourself? Or do you go, oh my God, I'm getting old. Look at my face. Look how old I am. I'm still stuck at a job. Right? None of that is real. Because underneath this mask that you carry is the divine feminine presence of life itself. And all it's asking for is for you to love it. And when you love that invisible inside of you so much, the world that you knew will drop away, and what you want will begin to come forward in such a magical way that you won't be doing anything. Right now, a lot of you are working so hard. But what we forgot was that this life is God's life, that my life is God's life, and that I am one with Him. So I know that when I walk, an energy goes before me. Before I even enter a room, that I'm fully protected and taken care of. That right where I am, I'm fully protected and taken care of. Why? Because this human form will die sometime, but this invisible life has been with me for all of eternity. And each of you know that. You might not want to acknowledge it. You know, your friends may go, where'd you go on Sunday? I went to Unity. What's that? Is it church? It's a spiritual center. I like it. You know, obviously like hearing your mom, hearing your voices, right? Talk to your parents, what'd you do? What is that? I went to Unity. What is that? Some sort of new age church? Is it cultish? No, it's a church. I really love it. Makes me feel good about myself. Yeah, you know. Your voice goes up a whole other octave because you don't want to acknowledge who you are. You know what it's like when you acknowledge what you love? When you acknowledge who you love? You fall in love with somebody and you're like, I'm in love! I'm in love! But when it comes to God, presence, or essence, it's like, you know what time big secret. I'm not saying you got to go prophesy your life and change people in a room, because you don't. But when you finally acknowledge that invisible force inside of you, that divine feminine energy, that strength, you'll have no reason to worry or doubt or be confused. And when you are, you'll go, oh my gosh, I just forgot that I love God. What am I so scared of? You believe that God will put you in a place to suffer? To have pain? Right? And to say that you can't get through it is a bunch of BS. It's a belief system, right? I bring that up because I saw my ex give birth to my daughter, and she went through the whole gamut of emotions. And what happened? She's still surviving. When you look back at your life and you go, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me, you're still here. I'll never make it. Still here. You keep getting pointed out that no matter what happens in your life, you're still here. And some of you are like, gosh, I wish I would just go. I don't want to be here. But you're here to learn. Isn't that great? So there is no yesterday or tomorrow. You're learning right now. You're learning how amazing you are, and how light-filled you are, and how loving you are. And we celebrate that in mothers. And I know Tommy wants to watch the Laker game, so he's like, God.
I didn't say a word.
They're 0-3. Will they make it? Will they make it? Will they give birth to 4 straight wins? I know all of you are thinking about that right now, July. It's very traumatic for some of you. Will they make it? Will they make it? Will they do it? Right? This is a celebration not only of mothers, but of everybody. Because all of you were birthed by a mother. And it's the greatest thing you could be a part of in your life. Right? I asked Harper today on our way to service, I said, what should I talk about? And normally she says about houses. Like I should talk about houses. She said, you should talk about love. And I said, okay, what about love? And she goes, I love you, Dad. Right? So picture that there's an essence inside of you that's saying the same thing. So when you show up to work, or you show up to your life, or you show up to your friends, and you ask that essence, what do I talk about? Talk about love. Talk about how much you love your friends. Talk about how good they are to you and how much you appreciate their love. Tell your family how much you love them, how much you appreciate them. And for those of you that are in a place where the Vortex says, show up, be with what you want, sometimes you have to forgive with what you don't want. Right? So forgive all the stuff that you didn't want in your life that brought you to the place of what you want. Right? Everybody good? Are you tired of listening to Teron Howard speak? So I'm going to tell you one more thing, and then I'll let you guys go and celebrate Mother's Day, because each of you are mothering that Christ within you right now. Each of you have that grace within you right now, right? So I know that some of you feel a little bit lost, and you might not want to admit it out loud to people, or even to your intimate people in your life, your friends or anything. And you feel like you're alone. And you feel like sometimes there are certain situations that you feel alone. Know that that aloneness is pointing out a veil that you believe in something that isn't true. And when you focus on the word God, or Buddha, or Jesus, they all have an awe in it, right? The awe in the presence of a divine name is the sound of the sun. And the sun has 13,000 rays of light. You have those same rays. You're part of that same light. That awe, when you hear God, and you just focus on just that word in your life, you will transform your life completely. Because it will be at that moment that both yourself and the God self will come into oneness, and in that oneness, all things unlike itself will fall away. It has to. It has to. So know that when you hear the word Om, awe, they're the sounds of the sun that we can't hear, that we've articulated into a sound. That's how powerful you are.